This is Rusty Messer with Podcast, the Louisiana Personal Injury Q&A podcast. Today, we're going to talk about the law that just went into effect in July 1st, 2024, extending Louisiana's time to file a lawsuit from 1 year to 2 years. So in the legal world, we call that a statute of limitations. Now, because Louisiana is a little bit different than the rest of the legal world, they call it a prescriptive period, but it's the same effect. So what happened prior to July 1st of 2024, if you were injured in a car accident, if you fell in a building, if you were involved in a trucking accident, you had 1 year from the date of that crash to bring a lawsuit. Effective July 1st, 2024, that extended to 2 years. And there are some significant benefits and some significant drawbacks to how this is going to affect people. So does not apply to every type of case. So as we said, accidents before July 1st, 2024. So if you were in a crash on June 30th, 2024, you still have 1 year. And we're recording this in January of 2025. So that 1 year hasn't run yet, but you need to be very aware of that. So if you were in a crash on July 2nd, 2024, you have a 2-year period. It's important to know what types of cases are covered and what types of cases are not covered by the new statute of limitations. So if you were in a car accident, a trucking accident, if you had a slip and fall in a grocery store, a dog bite, something like that, all of that is going to be under the new 2-year statute of limitations as long as it happened after July 1st, 2024. Now, if you are bringing a workers' compensation claim, if you're trying to bring a medical malpractice act, or even a wrongful death claim, in some cases, what they call a survival claim for a loved one's pain and suffering before death, those still fall under a 1-year statute of limitations. Those were not changed by the legislature. Not clear why, but that's how they chose to do it. One thing that it does is it brings Louisiana more in line with the rest of the nation. So before this, we had the shortest statute of limitations in the nation at 1 year. And the effect of a 1-year statute of limitations is that it rushes the process of resolving an injury claim. You may have heard that Louisiana has a high number of lawsuits filed based on car accidents, but that's because they have to be resolved within 1 year. You go to Texas, it's 2 years. You go to Missouri, it's 4 years. So those states, and now us, have a longer time to try to get the case worked out before you have to file a lawsuit. Now, one of the big drawbacks about extending the statute of limitations is that over time, evidence can tend to get lost. So if you were in a car accident and let's say you got out and you spoke to a witness and you got their name and their phone number, and you let 2 years go by before you start investigating that, well, they might have changed their number. Their address might not be the same anymore. So there are instances where the 2-year statute of limitations can actually hurt your case. But overall, it allows more time for investigation and more time for cases to resolve, especially if you get into a complex case like a trucking litigation case or a case with very serious injuries. It can be difficult to resolve a case with serious injuries when you're still treating and you don't know what your long-term treatment is going to look like. So that's some of the good things that came out of the change for the 2-year statute of limitations.
And Rusty, some of the questions that we hear is, for example, will this have any impact on the car insurance rates since it is extended?
This is actually one of the rare changes that the plaintiff's attorneys and the insurance defense were all in favor of. Because there is a longer time to try to get these cases settled, it's expected that there will actually be less lawsuits filed because we're able to get them worked out before we have to file a lawsuit, before you have to get other lawyers involved, before you have to get into taking depositions and all those sorts of things. It's actually anticipated that this may lower our car insurance rates some. If you have been in an accident, I cannot stress enough, do not wait for that full 2 years. If you're on the defense side, do not wait that full 2 years. If you are a company, you may have a duty to preserve that evidence. If there was dash cam footage in your vehicle, if there were electronic data on the vehicle, and you know about a crash, you may now have a duty to preserve that evidence for longer than you did before because that claim can come later than it used to. So
Okay.
it affects both sides on the evidence collection and the evidence preservation. This, understand the deadlines, know if you are before or after that when that 2 year period went into effect. Don't delay, even if you know you're after, don't wait that full 2 years. Especially don't wait that long to start treatment, because if you're hurting and you don't go get treatment for a year, year and a half, you're going to have a very hard time convincing a jury or even an insurance adjuster that you were really hurt and you let all that time pass. And a good thing to do is to stay updated. There was a big change uh, in the tort laws in 2021 when they changed the jury threshold amounts. There's a big change this year. We expect some more changes coming. We've already talked about some parts where it looks like they overlooked extending the deadlines. We don't know if the legislature is going to go back and extend those deadlines. So you need to pay attention to that.
And Rusty, also one of the questions that we heard is, does this just help the injury lawyers?
No, it actually does not. It is good for both sides. Uh, when a claim is made against an insurance company, the first party for the insurance company is going to be an adjuster, and the adjuster has some authority to get the case resolved. So, with a longer statute of limitations, this gives everybody more time to investigate before it's necessary to file a lawsuit, and gives the insurance companies more time to gather the information they need to really evaluate the claim. Because a lot of times a lawsuit gets filed just not because the parties aren't going to be able to agree, but they haven't had enough time to get in all the medical records, to talk to the witnesses, to really evaluate the claim. As always, if you have questions about a specific injury case, we would be happy to speak with you. Uh, Happy to tell you if we believe you have a case, or maybe it's not a case we handle, maybe it is a case that we do. The consultation is absolutely free. We invite you to give us a call or send us an email.